Hey guys, just wanted to give a few updates. So as you can see behind me, the book is out in paperback. If you bought the book within the first 24 to 48 hours, there's going to be a few formatting errors in there. I think the introduction and the table of contents, the title pages are on the left side rather than the right side as we intended them to be, and there's something funky with the page numbering as a result of that and the formatting issues. And also a lot of the quotes in the book have weird indentations. We fixed all those, and by we I mean my lovely wife who designed this cover. You can see front and back. It's actually, it came out a little bit longer and thicker than I had expected it would. So it feels nice to hold too, which is always cool. It's also got that texture that Jack Donovan's books have, if you're familiar with that kind of satin matte finish. More reasons to get it if you're into the aesthetics of the cover and that sort of thing. Anyhow, as you might have heard already, if you are looking at other videos on this channel, Augustus already did an audio for the foreword that he wrote for the book. I'm going to be working on trying to do an audio version of the entire book. I'm not sure how publishing that works, so that's going to be sort of a work in progress over the next few weeks. Anyhow, moving on to politics, current events, and that sort of thing. I'm wearing my Hitchens shirt today, and it occurred to me as I've been getting into some arguments and debates with actual Nazis. They're on the rise. For you people who've been calling all the right-wingers from Bush to Cheney to whoever Nazis and fascists, you've got another thing coming. They're getting popular, and you're not going to know how to argue with them. I decided to revisit some old Hitchens footage to revisit some of the arguments against fascism and collectivism and totalitarianism, because it's coming back ideologically, and they've got some good arguments. It's not going to be as easy as you think to argue against them, and I'm sure that I'm going to be labeled an anti-Semite and a Nazi and a white nationalist, anti-Semite in particular in this book, because I actually quote a Jewish rabbi in here who's basically saying, Hitler and Wagner weren't entirely wrong in their criticisms of the secular Jews who were communists and promoting communism in Germany. And this rabbi was giving the speech in an attempt to bring Jews back into Jewishness and into Orthodox Judaism. Obviously, he's a rabbi. And I quote Viktor Frankl later, who I very much admire and respect. That doesn't matter. The allegations of anti-Semitism are coming. I haven't seen a negative review yet, but I'm sure there will be. I'm sure someone's going to accuse me of anti-Semitism. So the real anti-Semites are coming. One of the things that Hitchens said, though, when I was listening to him talk about the axis of evil, and I think this was a speech in 2009 that he gave on Iraq, Iran, and North Korea, was that it seems that the dumber that the government is, the smarter the people become. And we've had a pretty smart system governing us for a long time. And Vox was actually just talking about this earlier today himself, Vox Day, and he said we're dealing with some of the dumbest people in all of human history because we're coming out of one of the longest periods of sustained economic growth and flourishing and peace that humankind has ever seen. Steven Pinker was mostly right in his book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, where he talked about the surprising decline of violence. We've been living in what amounts to a utopia by medieval and beyond standards, and that's probably going away soon. And you can see it, the foreshadowing of it a little bit in the government that we've had under Obama in particular. I think we saw a little bit of it under Bush as well, but Obama, you could just feel the condescension, especially from people like Jonathan Gruber. Oh my God, the audacity of his just laughing at using the American people, and you can see it in Hillary Clinton's emails about referring to the taco vote and the religious, making fun of the religious voter base and whatnot. They have absolutely no respect for the people. And you could argue that they are right not to respect the people. But they've gotten rather lazy themselves. And so they're getting dumber, and there are some movements that have been fed up for that for quite some time. It's one of the reasons I like the alt-right so much. They have a lot of really smart people who are drawn to it because they don't like being what Eric Weinstein called given child lies. He wants an adult lie, a narrative that's at least not insulting. And they're giving just insulting lies. And that's what all this Nazi rhetoric is today. Richard Spencer is not a Nazi. Even Devin Tracy, who started by calling Richard Spencer a Nazi, has backed off. And in one of his more recent videos said, this guy just seems to think that white people are a people too and have their own interests, which I think is actually giving Richard Spencer more credit than he is due in terms of not being racist. He is a white nationalist, which I have sympathies for. I think most people who have sympathies with black nationalists or red nationalists, as Vox Day points out in his book, if you support Indian reservations, then are you not implicitly a racial nationalist in that regard? Because this is area specifically for that race. And this is true with Japan, China, and Iceland, and all these other countries that want to retain their culture, which seems to be tied, whether it's genetic or cultural, it almost doesn't matter. Culture is arguably even more sticky than genetics. But the point is the name calling is going to get worse, and the doubling down is going to get worse. And so, how do you act with this information? How do you employ this in order to disempower these people and escape their power? Because they are very powerful. They can come for you. Well, what you can do is you can not use their services and support other people who are not in their power. I self-published this book. There's no publisher that can pull this or jack up the price, as happened to a Mexican science fiction writer that Vox Day was talking about today, who came out as a Trump supporter, I want to say like a month or two ago, recently, and his science fiction writing community turned on him, and they said they essentially kicked him out of a bunch of stuff that he had been involved in and volunteering to support for years and years and years. Well, when he let Vox know about how horribly he'd been treated, Vox passed this along to his reader base, and they came in, and they all bought his books. And, of course, what happened? The publisher didn't like that he was being successful. A Trump supporter was successful. So, you know what they did? Is they jacked the price of his book up $1, and they took the jacked up price, and they made it clear that the extra money would be going to support the ACLU, which is a horrible, hateful leftist organization. ACLU's garbage organization has been completely captured by the social justice warriors. That's how they operate. Well, now this guy's going off to be either self-published or published with Castelia House. We'll sort of see how that goes. So, I guess my advice would be to join the interesting people. Because the whole point of the initial post where that guy had written to Vox was that I thought I could be safe if I just kept my head down and didn't say anything, just didn't speak my mind, which is already a sad thing to do. It's already a tragic thing if you have to constantly walk around eggshells around your family, around your friends, around your employers. Well, what kind of dystopia is that? But that's what they want. That's what they want. They don't want you to be able to speak your mind. They want you to have to be careful and to be scared and to not say what you think if it runs against their narrative. And their narrative's always changing. So the best thing to do is to hop on Gab instead of Twitter. Screw Twitter. Hop on Minds instead of Facebook. I'm already starting to transition over there. I've been in the process of doing that for about 2 months now. It's a pretty good site. Still got some improvement to do. Go to Infogalactic. Rather than Wikipedia. Infogalactic is not converged in the way that Wikipedia is. They just got rid of the Daily Mail as it's no longer a reliable news source, according to Wikipedia, which is amusing because of all the news sites that are apparently reliable, who we've seen doing nothing but lying this whole time. Town Hall and Schlechter were absolutely right. These people hate you. And one of the realizations I had was that this my own book is not just a useful guide in how to employ it, but it's also a useful guide in spotting it in others. You can see the just all the manifest hatred that they have now being exposed. They could keep it sort of under wraps before, but now that they've been blown out of power, they're getting more violent. And you can see there was an article running around social media in the last couple days that was just an aggregation of all these op-eds justifying the violence at Berkeley against Trump supporters, and saying that the Trump supporter at UW just shot an Antifa person. No, he didn't. He was defending himself from an attack, and that's why the police let him go. So these people hate you, so don't support them. Don't support people who hate you. Don't pay for the rope that will hang you. It's just stupid to do. And that's actually going to be the subject of my next book, which I've been working on. I'm currently working on an essay form of the essence of it. And I actually already went over the sort of core of the issue in one of my other recent videos, why I'm not going to university, which is included in another thing. That'll be in the description as well. The institution of the university no longer holds the ideals that an academic institution is about. They are the enemy. They are the people. They're the institution that is inculcating this hatred of you. And so on that grounds alone, you should not go to them, just as a matter of principle. Now, the essay I'm writing grants that most people don't think in terms of principles like that, and I'm trying to make a more egoist case, a more practical case for why you shouldn't go to university on the ground. It's not you're not going to learn much. You're not going to get much more money or stuff based on how the prices have gone up and the job prospects have declined and are going to continue to decline. The value of the degree itself is going to decline. It's not going to get you the respect that you wanted, and the networking is going to be shit. It's not going to be what it once was because of for the same reasons that the educational and the monetary value have also declined. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully, if you haven't purchased a copy of In Defense of Hatred yet, it's on sale in Kindle now for, I want to say, $4.99, and it's just 99 cents if you already bought the paperback, and it's free if you have Kindle Unlimited. So join the alt tech, watch your six, and welcome to the end of prosperity. We're at war now.